Hello Cap. My name is Linda. I am your first officer today.
Right, well, gentlemen, we are now live on stream. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Zibo. Thank you for joining us and watching together. Um, I had such a mad rush to get everything going, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. We're going to check that we've got the right version of the Zibo, and clearly we do not have. It's not the right one here. Let's see if we go to the other one. Let's start that one. And if it's not the right one, I'll rather restart the sim and do it properly slowly again, because I had to run like crazy to actually get everything done. So we really don't want to mess it up now.
Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Hello, Rule. Okay, guys, so the plan is we're going to do as many flights as it takes to actually run through all
On
the
runway
options.
22, flaps, flaps.
I hope this one is correct now. Also not. I don't understand that. Zibo, did you actually update the version number, or am I going to see the same number? Because I swear I did drop the update, that plugins you gave me. Let's do it together on stream, then we all know it's the right thing. Hello Jordan, good morning. Can I do this with you guys? Because I swear I did it. So there is the 800X. Going to delete that plugin. I'm going to download the new one. Alright, there it is. So that's the 800X. This is, you know what? I know what I did. I updated the one for the explain 1141, not the beta. That's why. That'll teach me to do things in such a hurry. That's the right one that needs to be updated. So I just want to quickly get version 8, the one that you have, because that is the prerequisite. I'm going to update that one first. So we're going to have 3.43.8. Okay. And we're going to take the plugins. We're going to copy it in there. Alright, so there we go. There is the plugins. So the base is still called 3.43.8. Zibo didn't update that for me. That's not important. That plugins is this one, and just for the hell of it, let's just show you guys how I actually did it. So there we go. Plugins done. In fact, let me do the other one as well. Go back to the beta. So that should now be 3.43.8. And that's the latest plugins. Alright, okay, let's fire it up. I was thinking the other day, I haven't used 1141 in such a long time, I might as well now get rid of it. And then I realized there's a couple of complications. I can't just do it just yet. And in my haste, that obviously tripped me up, but I'm glad we saw that and fixed it quickly. Okay, so we're not going to do a flight from point A to point B. What we're going to do is quite a few takeoffs with the standard instrument departure. We're going to use Stansted because Stansted has got a natural built-in um, restrictions there. So you can see there's one, and there's one. So in between this takeoff run and the SID here, we're going to perform all the necessary tests that we need to do. Now, believe it or not, I've done this 17 times today already. So we're going to probably do it another 5 or 10 times now with the new version. So we're going to tick off each of the boxes as we fly and make sure that the aircraft performs as expected. For our test, we are going to use flight level 160. Hello, Serkan. Sorry, I saw you there just now. We're going to use flight level 160 and we're going to make use of those restrictions at 4,000 as the alternative values that we're going to look at. And if we go back to Zibo's plan, we are going to tick off each one of these things. I'm going to obviously change the 12,000 to a 4,000, and that will be a 16,000 instead of 26,000. And there we've got our altitude constraint, so we will have to pass that and see that we get the results afterwards, and also that we get the results before the time as well. So we're going to set up for that. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to save the flight situation, so it just makes it easier for me to just replay the whole time. I don't want to spend 10-15 minutes setting up the aircraft every time. And what an amazing little feature that is. That really with the previous testing. So fantastic.
On runway 22, flaps.
Alright, so this time it is verified. It is updated. Cool. Alright. So we're going to start from the beginning. Our first test is going to be VNAV alt yes, and VNAV alt will be
Flaps 5 set.
set to no, so we're not going to use altitude alt, we will in fact then use VNAV alt. So basically what it says, the altitude will be no, so we can see it's the same. I'm going to save the settings quickly so we know that we've got that right.
On runway 22, on runway 22.
I'm not going to bother with the rest, that's good enough.
Hello Cap. My name is Linda. I am your first officer today.
Just want to change the lighting a little bit there. Right, we don't need here really. Right, expecting a 7 knot wind. Set you to 16. We don't really care, we're not going to land at all. Hello Warren, welcome, welcome.
On runway 22. On runway 22.
We're not going to land at the other side, so I'm not too worried about that. We really just want to get up to 16,000, make sure everything clocks right. Okay, just for the cosmetics. Alright, okay, Uncle John, remember I said to you this flight plan's got an altitude restriction of 280. So we're quickly going to just have to find it again and then just get rid of it. Sorry, it's 220 I see now, but you get the point. So we're just going to get rid of that one. And then we're going to go back to the leg. So we just verify there is a restriction, there's a restriction, and there's a restriction, and then we will be able to climb. So that is part of our test to see that we can fly this appropriately then. Take off, let's go back to index, preferences, execute, so flight level 160 is fine. Alright, I'm not going to bother with that, it's just a test, so we're going to go there, and I'll probably have to read it. I think that's slightly out of bounds there, 21.6. Let's use this lady to do some work for us.
Trim up.
She can set the trim with great love and pleasure.
On runway 22. On runway 22.
UCA. Sorry, my concentration is not with that. No idea. Just bear in mind, I'm not really using a proper OFP. I'm literally just doing a thumb suck flight here, so don't read too much into things that is not important right now, if I can, ask you that way. We literally want to see that we get this done. So what we have to do is I'm going to set the MCP now to 4,000 instead of 12,000. That's fast. Right. So to recap, MCP is 12,000. We have already checked that the VNAV alt is yes, and the VNAV alt there, it's set to no because that needs to be active, not that one. So we're going to climb 4,000. Then we need to see all these things on the annunciator panel there on the OF, on the primary flight display. And then we're going to pass our waypoint and check that it changes, set up the MCP, and then press altitude intervention. Alright, this morning, Warren, the unable cruise altitude is just because that is how the flight plan works. If I were to really fly from Stansted to Bristol, there is an altitude restriction of 220 at that one VOR. We're not going to fly there. It's irrelevant, so I just got rid of it. Not important for the test we are about to do. Right, so we've got the trims, we've got all of those things set up. Let's quickly see what else do we need to do. We've got the flaps. Thank you, Paul. Always remember him telling me to do that. It's amazing how it gets stuck in your mind. Guys, anything that you know that I've missed that you might have seen? Mac? Anybody? I think I've done most of everything. Just give this one more check. Just make absolutely sure we are where we want to be. Yes and no is ticked. So yes and no. It's correct. Right. Then I think we are ready to go. Let's save the flight before we go. Just want to make sure everything is set right. So let's save situation 1, and just for the heck of it, let's save situation 2 as well. Make sure we've got one of them working. Okay, for good luck. Right, Zibo, hope you're ready. You're gonna go.
Stabilized.
That's what I forgot. When we spawn in, we've got our chocks set. Let's go and save it again. Don't want to go through that every time. Okay.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust set. Throttle hold. V1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Alright, come on, Alright, so we already have VNAV speed. So if we look at our diagram, VNAV speed is correct. We're now looking for VNAV path
Runway
once
turn
we
off,
get
lights
to
off.
4,000. We're just going to write it up.
Flaps 1 set. Thousand to level off.
1,000 to go.
Flaps up set.
Right, and there we have it. VNAV path is now kicked in. We are at 4,000. So VNAV path is now active.
Approaching transition.
Right, so if we go according to the diagram, we're going to basically pass our constraints. Then we have to see that VNAV alt comes on the display. Then we're going to set our MCP for 16,000 and then hit the altitude intervention button. That's the plan. Hello, Christer.
Hello, gentlemen.
How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. I'm well, thank you. And you?
Also good, thank you. Happy to be testing the Zibo again.
Ah, great, great. A new version, I see.
Yes.
Transition level.
What's new with this version?
It's not really something new. It's a fix to last night, Krister. Zibo found a bug in the code, so he's fixed it. After all my test flights I did for him today, and we're just testing it now.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
It sure is quick.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This, believe it or not, is my 18th 1/8 takeoff during doing this sit today. Okay, so we're just waiting for the altitude constraints to pass. The last one is that waypoint over there, as far as I remember. So we're going to look there at VNAV path. It must then change and become VNAV alt. And that's when we need to then set the altitude on the MCP.
Tell me
Yes.
I've not been paying attention, Nico, but which SID departure was that out of interest?
I'll give it to you now. There you go. There's VNAV alt. VNAV alt. So it sees that we have reached the last constraint. So VNAV alt, VNAV alt. Now we can change to 16. Mac, I'll give it to you now. And then
Thank
we should be able to use altitude intervention. There we go. Awesome. First done. First one done and dusted.
Great.
Guys, I'm popping the red here in Discord for you guys,
Approaching
Schematics chat,
transition.
and I don't think I've put it on YouTube already, so there you go. That is the actual route that I'm looking at now.
Transition altitude.
Alright, and we have VNAV speed, so just as a matter of interest I can show you that as well. There's VNAV speed, so that is perfectly correct, and then we'll get VNAV path once we reach 16. Hello, Captain Rick. All good, thank you. How are you doing?
tell you the reason why I asked Nico. I was surprised that it overran the first turn, and I was looking to see if there's any speed restrictions on the car.
I'm not paying attention to that. I'm worried
There is no speed restriction, so you did nothing wrong.
Okay. I'm worried about my enunciator there and the logic.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's why I am trying not to interfere.
Max Zibo is watching, so if he spots anything, he'll obviously fix it. You know.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But it was nothing wrong. It was the aircraft was showing us
I understand. But I'm just waiting for VNAV path once we get closer to 16, and then we can start the next flight.
1000 to level off.
1000 to go.
I have a specific question, but we can take it later.
Okay.
It concerns the MMR and ILS. I don't know if it's connected to the updates lately.
Okay, we
I
can
don't know.
check. Right, guys, thank you, Donald. Much appreciated. Thank you for the tip there. Really much appreciated. Thank you, Zibo. Okay, we can do that. Yeah, Zibo suggests we use a lower altitude than 16 just to make the test quicker. I think that's a good idea. But there we have VNAV path. It's done. Let us go back to load situation 1 and take the next one.
60 knots. Flaps 5 set.
On runway.
Stabilized. 60 knots.
Right, so let's start from the beginning. Now we're going to use the same VNAV Alt yes, and we're going to use the same setting, but this time we're going to use this without any altitude restrictions. So we're going to quickly just get rid of them. That should do it. So there's no altitude restrictions in the beginning. Let's go to cruise altitude 110. Let's do that. Right, what we are going to do then is we're going to keep it at 4,000. So again, we're substituting 12,000 for 4,000. VNAV speed, VNAV alt. Set the MCP and hit the altitude intervention to climb higher to our 11,000 then.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust set. Knots. Throttle hold. V1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Don't think.
Right, so we're going to let it lock to 4,000. Let's see,
Runway
there we
turn
have
off,
our
lights off.
VNAV speed. That is correct. At 4,000 we should switch to VNAV Alt. Let's keep it like that. Why not? We'll just go through the motions again.
Flaps 1 set. 1000 to level off.
1000 to go.
Yes, and now I'll just double check that quickly.
Flaps up set.
use VNAV path, it switched to VNAV altitude.
Approaching transition.
Zibo, I think that's okay. It's gone to VNAV alt there. Right, then we're going to set this up to 11,000. Right. We're going to then hit altitude intervention. So we should get VNAV speed, which is what we get, and once we get to 11 we'll get VNAV path. So this one seems to be perfect as well, Zibo. Another Gene, hello. It's a good question. I don't know, maybe somebody took their porridge this morning. I don't know, took their sweeties.
Transition altitude.
Can I ask? Yes, on my way into
1000 to level
Mallorca, Lepa, on the approach, it's my own fault. I completely forgot to set the MMR from the VOR to the ILS. And when I pressed the approach button, it still captured the glide scope. Is that correct?
I'll have to check the charts because there might be something that it captured, but let's talk about it afterwards.
Yes, of course.
Right, okay. VNAV path. Okay, Zibo, this one's done. It works perfect. Let's reset that flight and then I want to go back to flight number 2.
60 knots.
1,000 to go.
Flaps 5 set.
On runway
Set this
2.
parking brake, and I just want to
60
get
knots.
the restraints away again and then just save it because I've got to save it. We're gonna have to do it a couple of times and I don't want to do it every time, so execute. Right, so save flight number 2. So flight 1 is the one with the altitude
Flaps 5
restraints
set.
in place. Let's just set that parking brake as well and save it. Alright, so flight 1 with the altitude restraints, flight 2 is without, so that's just going to make it a little bit easier. So the next test is going to be VNAV alt is yes and the altitude hold is yes. So we need to go set that. Altitude hold
on runway
yes
2
and
on runway
VNAV alt
2
yes. Let's go. Save that. Right, didn't have to do that again. Okay, so let's recap. Let's run through it. We're going to set the MCP to 4000. It's set to 4000. We're going to climb to 4000, watching VNAV speed, VNAV alt, and then we are going to set the MCP to 11,000, watch the altitude hold, and then we're going to click the VNAV button this time, not the altitude intervention. So I just want to confirm quickly. Oh, yeah, This is exactly the one we wanted now on the other side. Never mind. Whatever. Try and help myself and then go and confuse myself. Let's not do that. Let's just take it easy. Right, so altitude constraints. No altitude constraints on this one. And we're ready to go.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust set. Knots. Throttle hold. V1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Don't think.
Right, so we have VNAV speed already.
Runway turn off, lights
Exactly
off.
as expected. Climbing to 4,000. We should see VNAV out. Mac,
Yes.
as a matter of interest, I didn't really do any derating on the engines. These engines are pumping, look there, 97.4 N1.
1000 to level
Usually
off.
when you take off from here, you're
1000
going to
to go.
use some other noise abatement procedure. You'll be
Flaps
derated.
1
So
set.
the chances of you actually overshooting that turn by this margin isn't really there when you do your planning properly. Just throwing
Could
it
be.
in there.
Yeah.
Alright, so VNAV
Flaps
path,
are
the next
set.
one will be VNAV out. There we go, VNAV out. So we've made that so far.
Approaching
Then, because
transition.
there's no limitations, we can now set this to 11,000. And you can already see there, it's now kicked the VNAV out. So what we need to do is put VNAV back, and it's going to do the same operation as if we press the altitude intervention. There we go. Right. I actually did it so fast I didn't notice where it had the altitude hold. I'll have to go back to the video
Approaching
now. I
transition.
presume it was there. Right, so we add VNAV speed again. And we're looking for VNAV path.
Transition altitude. Thousand to
go.
level off.
Right, we're waiting for VNAV path over there, and then this test will be finished as well. Wow. Right, so that VNAV path there, I said it was perfect. Zip, I'm not sure if this is a small mistake or if it is still really perfect because you've got the VNAV path. So it was there, but it did change to VNAV alt. Not sure if that's correct. You'll have to see and decide on that one. But that takes care of that one. So the next one is the same procedure but with the altitude constraints in place.
knots.
1,000 to go.
Flaps 5 set.
On runway.
Stabilized.
2.
60 knots.
Right, so let's just check everything, that everything is correct. So, we want VNAV alt yes and altitude hold yes. Right, so we're going to do the same thing. That's the one we wanted, sorry guys. We're going to do the same thing now with the altitude constraint in place. That's 4,000, 4,000, 11,000. And this time I'll pay a little bit closer attention to that one. Okay. So let's see. We have the altitude constraints, that's fine. And we have 4,000 on the MCP. So it's exactly as we wanted, 4,000. Then 16. Okay.
On runway 2. On runway 2.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust set. Throttle hold. V1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Don't think.
VNAV speed is fine. We'll wait for our VNAV path. When we get
Runway
to the
turn
top
off,
there,
lights off.
and we've got to keep an eye on those restraints.
Nico.
Yes, sir.
But I expect also that the ultimate test must be with either VATSIM or Ivaio because of ATC.
Well, when
Welcome to
you
level
get
off.
this version, because Zibo will probably
That's
release it
go.
after the stream, okay? When you get it, go try it and let us know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flaps upset.
Right, so VNAV path, that's definitely correct, guys. There's VNAV path. Now we're going to have to wait until we pass
Approaching
the
transition.
restraints. So it's going to take a minute or so to just fly by them because we have to go in that S there. And we'll check. We then need to see VNAV alt. I'm going to set the MCP altitude. Then we're going to check altitude alt before we press the VNAV button. Thank you, Zibo. I see you answered that
Transition
question
level.
on the forum already. Cool. Right, so once we pass that waypoint, we're going to look for VNAV alt, set the MCP, and then check the rest.
While you're getting there, Nico, just to confirm, anybody who flies out of Stansted, there is a hell of a lot of noise abatement procedures. Doesn't matter whether it's day or night. So you were quite correct, Nico.
Yeah. I'll probably derate to 2, and I'll probably even use cutback. So by the time I'm 1,000 foot in the air, I'm flying at 83 N1. You know, it's going to be so soft and so slow going over that thing. You'll probably never overfly it.
Yeah, noise abatement above 1,350 feet. I hope John is listening. Just some more procedures for him to get involved in that.
Okay, guys, there we go. There we've got VNAV alt. Right, so I'm going to quickly set the MCP for 11,000 and see if we get a different enunciation there. I see it's gone to alt hold. There we go, alt hold. And all we need to do now is press the VNAV button and it climbs. And then we'll quickly just see if we get VNAV path or what we get there.
Approaching transition.
Excellent software.
Transition altitude.
Jordan. Get your house sorted, man. Get back here. We miss you too. Killer, all good. Thank you. How is your day going? And sorry, I forgot to mention that VNAV speed is also correct according to this graphic. So there we have VNAV speed. That's the last one. I just want to check on this graphic. Oh, sorry to hear that.
This is definitely looking good.
1,000 to go.
1,000 to level.
Another awesome job, Zibo. Thank you very much.
There we go. There's VNAV path. So let's see if it sticks or if it changes once it reaches the top. See VNAV alt. Click on it instead of VNAV path. I don't know, Zibo, you're going to have to check this one then as well, because it does give VNAV path, but it does switch to VNAV alt, so 2 little question marks for you. Alright, then we have VNAV alt not installed with constraints, so let's fly that one. Looks like it's basically 2 more. Just VNAV alt no. Right, there you go, no. Let's go save it. Wrong option. Right. Let's go back to the constraints one.
60 knots.
Check the
Flaps 5 set.
On
Stabilized.
runway,
Take
2,
it.
60 knots.
Come on. Right, so VNAV alt is no, right? So the bottom one doesn't mean anything because that is now on a no. We're going to check the legs. We've got our constraints in place, just like the graphic is suggesting at 4,000. Right, then what we're going to do is we're going to set this to 4,000. That is true and correct. I think that's it. Let's go fly. Oh, one more thing while we're thinking about it, right? Let's see what the cutback does. Alright, it's going to take us down to 88. Let's see, Mac. What are
on
we
runway,
testing?
2, on runway,
Wow.
Stabilized.
2.
Well done, Lena, for including this and stuff.
Yeah, let's just see.
Takeoff thrust set.
I didn't derate at all, but 88 is still
89.
less than what we're using.
Throttle hold.
It's currently doing 98.4. So
Well,
V1.
be interesting just to
Rotate.
compare the paths and see what happens.
Positive rate.
Plus, we haven't checked it online for a while, which makes it still working.
yeah. Sorry, Zibo's looking for me. Sorry, I missed that.
Runway turn off, lights off.
Guys, Zibo asks me a question. I don't know. Did I actually forget? Did I put my cruise altitude to 11,000? I'm pretty sure I did, but anybody help me there? In the previous test, we can go back and just test that.
The previous test, yes, affirmative. But in this test, I'm not sure.
Well, in this, no, I'm talking about the very previous flight. The very previous
Yes,
flight.
I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that.
Okay.
Flaps 1 set.
I'll go back and replay it.
Alright, I don't mind replaying it. I mean, if I goofed up, I goofed up. Then we'll have to go check. Thanks, Mac. Let me know. Then we'll fly it again quickly.
Flaps upset. 1000 to level
1,000
off.
to go.
There's VNAV path, so that is perfectly correct. And then we have to fly past that
Approaching
constraint,
transition.
and then we're going to set,
Transition
check
level.
that first, then set MCP. I'm reasonably sure I did set my altitude to 11,000. I don't think it would have climbed up
Yes,
to
you did.
11,000 if I
Yes,
did.
you did.
Yeah.
You did. I
Thanks.
see that now.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Krister.
It's 4:46. 4 minutes back.
Okay. Mac, Tell me when I can tell you something.
Yeah, you did set 11,000 definitely.
Okay, cool.
Confirmed.
The cutback is only up to 3,000. So in the time we reached 3,000 climbing to 4,000, the aircraft has accelerated to such a point where it actually overshot that point again.
Really?
Yeah.
Spring.
Right, so that VNAV path is perfect, exactly what we wanted. We're just waiting to pass that waypoint. And we need to see altitude hold. We'll set the MCP up again to 11,000 and hit the VNAV button, and this time I'm gonna shout out to you, Zibo, to say I've done it. There's altitude hold. So I'm going to set up the MCP to 11,000. And we need to see nothing else. Let's just make sure there's altitude hold. I've set up the MCP and now we're going to press VNAV. There's VNAV speed, so we know that works.
Approaching transition. Transition altitude.
If she climbs any steeper, she'll go vertical.
Oh, lovely. I love this girl. She's wonderful. Apart from my own wife, this is probably the most wonderful woman on earth. I hope she's a woman. I've just assumed she's one. I hope so.
By the way, that noise abatement received, I'll talk to you after the stream, but it is interesting. Above 3,000, you probably have no problem.
Okay.
1,000 to level off.
VNAV speed, right, there's altitude acquisition. And altitude hold. Right, so Zibo, there you go. That again, that says VNAV path, and the MCP actually says altitude hold. Interesting. infinite flight. Hello, hello. Okay, nonetheless, that is for you to decide if it is true or not. We are now going to do this slide. We're going to go back. We still have no VNAV alt installed, and there will be no restrictions. So we're going to use saved flight number 2.
knots.
1,000 to go.
Flaps 5 set.
On runway
60
two,
knots.
Make sure there is no restrictions. Nothing. Right. Let's make sure that if we go to the settings, no is on, no restraints, and we're gonna go for 4,000.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust set. Knots. Throttle hold.
Well, the cruise Neil is set up at
Rotate.
11,000 by request of Zibo, so
5,000
he knows what
feet
he's doing.
remaining.
I'm sure you'll see if it's a
Positive
problem
rate.
or not, but the cruise is actually set to 11,000. Actual fact, I wonder if I actually saved it that way. Let's quickly go have a look. That's an interesting take that you just put there. Let me just quickly look at the FMC, because we've got it set in our minds. We did set
Runway
it
turn
once
off,
in
lights
the FMC. We might not have saved it, so you might actually be on the right. You see, you might be on the right path there. Zibo, I think we've got a winner. Neil actually gave us the answer there. I think that's it. You see, I've set the cruise there. We've changed everything on the MCP, but we didn't change it again after the first time. And remember, we're busy
1,000 to level
reloading
up.
flights where it wasn't
1,000 to
saved.
go.
So I think that must be the answer. What I'll do afterwards is we'll quickly go back to one of these flights that had the query, and we'll just quickly fly it again. I mean, it's going to take another 10 minutes of our lives, and then we know we're okay. Good spot, Neil. Good idea, that. Right, so we've got the
Flaps upset.
altitude acquisition coming. It should go to altitude hold. There we go. It's shifted over to altitude hold.
Approaching transition.
Then what we are going to do is we're going to increase this now to 11,000. And we are going to press the VNAV button. We've gone into the VNAV speed situation. Oh, come on. So we're there now, and we're looking for that. So hopefully the only issue was me not doing that on every flight, because we obviously did it. I just obviously did not save it, so I do apologize. Ha! See why we need more guys than one in the cockpit, eh?
Approaching transition. Transition altitude.
So 10 p.m. tonight I would have had a eureka moment if it wasn't for Neil. Thank you again. Thanks. I think that's it.
1000 to
go.
level off.
I'm going to smile if it works now, then we know I made a mistake. Here's your VNAV path. And it stayed on VNAV path. Alright, I apologize. Sorry Zibo, and thank you Neil again. Man, there you go, it actually works. Alright, so there's a 100% pass rate of each one of these slides. Nothing broken, nothing lost, everything works fine. Thank you Zibo. That's true, that's true. So now we also know what happens when it doesn't match. But guys, I'm done. That's it. Unless Zibo wants me to do anything else, we've literally tested each one of the slides now, and it is all working perfectly as it should.
Great.
I'm just waiting for a response.
I still blame the FO for not pointing out about the crew's business.
Nah, yeah, she's got her mind somewhere else, man.
Bank angle.
So, Mr. Nico, which one of these options is
1000 to go.
the most recent installed in the blowing?
If I do my victory roll, I'll tell you.
Approaching transition. Transition level.
Look at
Sorry,
that.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I just did a victory roll. I probably broke something, or I'm about to break something, but anyway, I did a victory roll.
Approaching transition.
Listen, as far as I understand, thanks Razor, as far as
Transition
I
altitude.
understand, it's the one with VNAV alt on. I'll just double check, Krister, but obviously from my understanding is all the new Boeings are fitted with the VNAV alt. It's the older generation ones that does not have it. But like Zibo also mentioned on the forum, you know, there are so many variations of the theme. It could also be an option, you know, taken by an airline or not. You understand? So
That's my thought also.
yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you to decide. Let's see what Neil says. Neil, it will not. No, the level up Zibo versions will not replace this 737-800X. Zibo will continue using this as the development model, and from everything that happens here, it will then be transferred to level up. But this will remain the development base, and we will continue as is in this side of the aisle.
Hooray, good news that, Nico, thank you.
Yes, very good news. Yes.
Yeah, so this one continues as is. All right. Yeah, obviously it will be the same standard, because as the updates get done for this one, it will then be just ported to the other one. Okay, so I don't want to say too much about it, because they might change it and then you guys get the wrong information. But it's supposed to be all compatible with each other, so it's going to be easier, as far as I understand, to do the updates than it used to be with the old 700 and 900. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, okay, Zibo says great, it works, he's happy, I'm happy, and then we can continue with our lives. Gentlemen, Zibo, I'm not sure if you're still listening here. Let me just ask him in text in case he's not here. Will you release this model now? Spelling mistakes. So I'm not sure when he's going to release this one, but I like this one. This one's working. Let's see if he's going to answer us. He's typing.
I'm already refreshing the page, it's not there yet.
Yeah, he's typing. He's probably going to say no, only Sunday night. Just for you, Mac. Neil, you're welcome.
He'll wait until your midstream later on today, Nico.
Alright. Zibo says he's just working on one small issue, and then you guys will probably get this. There's one small issue he's working on, so just keep a lookout for it, guys. We'll talk later. Thanks for joining us. It's nice having you guys here.
Thank you very much, Nico.
Test flight, Nico. Brilliant.
Thanks,
Thank
bye.
you, Mr. Zibo.
Thanks, Nico.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Uncle John.
Big round of applause to Zibo.
And Mr. Zibo.